This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Hey everybody, it is the After Party live on a Waterfall Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed the Mark Thompson Show featuring Michael Schur today and John Rothman and Belinda Weymouth. And thank you to the folks who contributed to making that show possible today. I really appreciate that. And more of Michael Schur tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll see David Katz, former federal prosecutor, will be on the show as well. So a lot to look forward to, plus more of these confirmation hearings. And I am riveted and fascinated. But we don't talk politics on this show. Nope. We lighten it up. And that is what we will do today. Oh no, Teacher Lori, it's not the same without you. But you got to do what you have to do for your health. Before you go, then, I will tell you that tonight at Petaluma High School is AP Honors Night. And it's so funny because what they do is they give you a schedule and you pick all the classes that you want to go to that your child could be taking next year. And you go around as if you're in school. And it's like they do these little 15-minute periods. And you go around to the classes and you hear the teachers spiel about what their class will be like next year. And part of me is like, why bother going? Because she already knows what she's going to take next year. But last year, I did dissuade her from taking a class. It was a world history class, AP World History or Honors World History. And the guy sounded like he scooped up gravel in his hand and swallowed it. Like his voice was really off. I can't imagine going through all year and I couldn't even understand what he was saying. It was that distorted. So I thought, I don't know if you want to take that class. And she ended up taking it at the junior college over the summer, which worked out. Interesting about that, and I digress off topic, but the class is a year-long class, that world history class. She took it in 2 months over the summer and got credit for 1 year's worth of history. Well, now apparently they're changing the rules that if you take a class, you still have to take 2 classes. So that won't work anymore. They have to separate it into 2 classes, I guess, or she has to take 2 separate world history classes that maybe focus on different things. I don't know. So she got in just under the wire on that one. So next year it'll be AP US history, which will be interesting. Anyway, Ricky O'Bear with a really good comment, and thank you for making this comment. He said, please consider donating blood. The Red Cross needs us. Only 8% of those who can actually do it. So that is important. We're seeing a lot of emergencies, a lot of people going to the hospital in Southern California. The death toll has risen, so I'm sure there's a lot of people that are hurt, and we have seen video of people staggering with burns and headed to the hospital, kind of walking along. Yeah, especially if wherever you are, but specifically if you're in Southern California, it's a time where we all need to do what we can do to help, and that's definitely one way to do it. Howdy to you, Northern Tier. Thank you for being here. And good afternoon to you, Jim Shields. Yeah, the party getting started here. Thank you so much. This show is crowdfunded, so very grateful to everyone who does help in that regard. There is a PayPal link under the show description and in the About tab here on YouTube. And thanks to Wes, that link is live. So you just click on it and boom, there you go. Easy peasy, pumpkin squeezy. Thank you for clicking the like button and the subscribe button as well. We're at 2,391 subscribers. So slowly but surely, bit by bit, growing the show, one subscriber at a time. And that's really all I can ask for. Okay, let's get to some of these stories today. I have some good ones for you. I think I have some good ones for you. You be the judge. How about that? Let us start with this. And I remember talking to Nikki Maduro about this way back in the KGO morning show days. She said she didn't understand why there was not a car that had solar panels on the roof and was powered, completely regenerated by the sun as it sat in parking lots and as it rolled along. And guess what? Ask And answered Nikki Maduro. I cannot wait to show this story to Nikki, but first I thought, let me show it to you because that's exactly what this car does. This is a solar vehicle. Check it out. Yeah, it's got solar panels on the roof all the way down to the tail of the vehicle. I'm not saying this car isn't weird looking because it's weird looking, but here it is. It is by Aptera. It's a California startup, Aptera, and they're debuting what they say is the first in production ready solar electric vehicle. Doesn't need to be plugged in for day to day driving. They developed it with help from a company called Pininfarina. The Aptera features solar panels on its hood, on its dash, on its roof, on its hatch. They debuted it this week in Las Vegas at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. They say Pantera, not I keep wanting to call it Pantera. It's Aptera. They say this car could significantly reduce reliance on the grid for charging because under the right conditions, it can drive up to 40 miles per day powered entirely by sunlight. No need to plug her in. 40 miles a day is very um it's not enough for commuters, right? Because that'll get me to maybe one way to San Francisco, and I'm praying at the end that I actually make it to the city. But for what I normally do, which is pick the kids up at school, maybe stop somewhere to pick up something at the store for dinner, what have you, this for driving around town for me would totally work. Now, recently I took some long trips to Oregon, might not work that way. But they say it should be enough to cover the daily needs of the average American who drives about 37 miles a day. And for those across the pond, that's 60 kilometers a day. Now, you're trying to go longer. Maybe it's a cloudy day. The Aptera does include a battery that will give you up to 400 miles of range from under an hour of charging. So that's pretty significant. This range is enabled by its unusual design. You can see it here. It's designed to be ultra aerodynamic. The three-wheeled, two-seater vehicle has a teardrop-shaped body, and it was finessed in partnership with this Italian automotive design studio called Pininfarina. But it is weird looking. It has kind of a flat end and a long, almost looks like a tail. You know what it looks like? I'm sorry to say. It looks like a giant sperm. I'm sorry, I said it. I know. Doesn't it though? It's like a giant sperm. I don't know. It's weird looking. It'll definitely be getting a lot of attention. Here's a close up of those solar panels. You can see they're uh interesting looking. They say that the solar panels enable this car to drive everyday trips without grid charging. They say this vehicle has the lowest drag coefficient of any production passenger vehicle, closer to an airplane's aerodynamics than to typical cars, which is interesting. When they were designing it, they used a wind tunnel in Turin, Italy to validate their design and creating the shape so that it would have the lowest possible drag coefficient, which is a figure used to quantify the resistance an object experiences when it's moving through the air. Now, they haven't said exactly what that number is, but they were apparently, according to a spec document, aiming for 0.13, where most modern vehicles come in at 0.25 or zero point 0.3. So that's significantly lower. They say another reason that it can go for so long is because of its body weight. That's different as well. It's made from a type of carbon fiber called carbon fiber sheet molding compound. That's a great name. The material is moldable into very complicated shapes, and it allows them to construct this car, which they say is light yet robust, from only 6 key body components. This material is made in Modena, Italy. It also serves luxury and sports car companies like Ferrari, Lamborghini, and McLaren. So the fact that they have this production ready vehicle, they say Aptera Motors is a pivotal moment for the future of sustainable transportation. And again, it's a California startup. So I got to love that it happens here. And they've been working on this for a long time. Even as Nikki was coming up with the idea in studio, they've been working on it. They said this vehicle embodies years of innovation and the relentless pursuit of energy efficient mobility. It is they are inviting the world to join them, they say, in creating cleaner, solar-powered future. As of October of 2024, Aptera said they had 50,000 pre-order reservation holders. You know what they don't say? How much is it? Don't say that. We don't know how much it is. I can only imagine that it's going to be really expensive. But here is a look at it. Here is the inside from the driver's side. Not bad. Here's around the other side from the passenger side. So it's got the big screen in there. It looks very simple. Very simple. The steering wheel is in kind of a U shape. You can kind of see that there. It's it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. We'll see how it works. I think this has the potential to be the future of how our cars function and work. And now that we have this one that's allegedly production ready, I think we'll start seeing maybe better and better designs and more long range, hopefully, of this. I mean, it can only get better from here, right? And we'll see how it works. Okay, go into the chat to see what you have to say about this vehicle. Will it float? Unknown if it'll float. I don't know. Depending on that material. It's totally space module like, says Ricky O'Bear. It's a two-seater or question mark, says Gordon. It looks like a two-seater. Okay, let's go back to the pictures and see. Is it a two-seater? It's got a lot of room back there. I don't know what's going on under that. Might all be technical. It looks a lot like a two-seater. Yeah. I don't see a lot of room for folks in the back seat. I think it's a two-seater. They didn't mention that, but it looks like a two-seater. Yeah, there's no room for people back there. So yeah, I'm going to say yes on the two-seater. On cost, says Be Aware, it depends on the model and the range. Solar cars from Aptera, Lightyear, and Sono Motors cost between $25,000 and $53,000. Be aware. Thanks for the info. Fantastic. Story didn't have that listed in there. So 25 grand to 53 grand. That's quite a range. Not as much as I thought it would be, though. So I don't know. Nullifidian wants to know when it will fly. Well, if it's so aerodynamic, slap a pair of wings on there and let's rock and roll. It does look a little Jetsony. Come on. Yeah. Judy says it doesn't look very sturdy. I don't know. Stay on the road, Tammy. I don't know. Judy says you read to us the description. Oh, that it's a two-seater. Did I say that? God, I didn't even pay attention to what the hell I said. Yeah. Did I say I have to go back and look at it now? 40 miles per day, powered entirely by sunlight. Did I say two-seater? Three-wheeled, two-seater. I said it. Yes. Three-wheeled, two-seater vehicle with a teardrop-shaped body, which was finessed in the partnership with this Italian automotive design company. So yeah, there you go. The Aptera. Are you guys going to sign up to get that one? Yeah. Thank you, Judy, for keeping me on up and up. I think it's interesting. I think it's the future. I think this is totally the future coming our way right now. So I'm a little fascinated by this. Let's get to the animal stories that we have for today. And one of them involves a little creature that is brand new to the world. I'm sorry to say, because I don't think we need any more of these creatures, but who am I? Ugh. We have a brand new spider in the world. It is bigger and more venomous species of the funnel web spider. It was discovered in Australia. The man who found this recommends giving it a very wide berth because they give out copious amounts of venom. Well, isn't that fantastic? He nicknamed it Big Boy. This spider can grow up to 3.54 inches compared to 1.97 inches for the more common Sydney funnel web. So this spider is a lot larger. Its venom glands are a lot larger. Its fangs are a lot longer, according to spider expert Kane Christensen. The Sydney funnel webs are best known for their fast acting, highly toxic venom. The same anti-venom is effective on bites from this new species, so that's the good thing. He originally, Mr. Christensen, discovered Big Boy in the early 2000s near Newcastle, and it has been officially named Atrax Christenseni in his honor. And here's what he said. This this is another reason maybe Australia isn't for me. Sometimes you might find them in a garage or in a bedroom or somewhere in the house where they might have wandered in during the night. I would not recommend touching them, that's for sure, he said. They do give copious amounts of venom. Now, scientists from the Australian Museum, Flinders University, and Germany's Leibniz Institute confirming this week Big Boy will be classified as a separate species of funnel web. Sydney funnel webs are found in eastern Australia within around 100 miles of that city. They are most active from November to April when the more deadly male ventures out at night looking for mates. There have been 13 deaths linked to funnel webs that have been recorded. None, though, since the anti-venom was developed in 1981. And so now we know we have this big ass spider, Big Boy. Oof. Can you imagine? No, I really can't imagine. No thanks. It's huge. It's huge and awful. Yeah. I don't even know. I don't even like I'm so ew. I'm so ewed out over it that I have to take the picture off the screen. So it's just gonna be you and me for a minute because ew. Well, I guess it makes sense that we get, as the world gets plummeted into chaos with the sorry, I'm not talking politics. No politics. I was gonna relate it to the spider, but I won't. Let's talk about this. This is a coyote that ended up inside of the refrigerated section in a store. They had to go in there and rescue this guy and pull him out. And here's what happened. They even knew what was in there. They knew something was in there. Didn't know what. It's in an Aldi supermarket inside the refrigerated section. Probably was scared. Got him by the tail. It's got to pull him out, but doesn't really maintain the hold. And you'd think he would run right out, but he jumps right back into the food. Now he's got to do it all over again. Yeah. So this is in the Aldi refrigerated shelf. Doesn't go very well. The coyote looks a little bit confused, and definitely there's all kinds of drama involved in getting this creature removed from the store and taken away to safety. This happened in Chicago. No reported injuries to the coyote, finally. The police, the animal care folks had to come out. As you saw a video there from a shopper, quite the surprise. They finally removed that coyote safely inside the store and took it to safety. Somebody had seen the coyote roaming around the parking lot just a few minutes earlier, and somehow it ended up inside the store. That was the produce section that you saw, and it was hiding in a cooler beneath the section of fine cheeses. They say, according to the Cook County Coyote Project, that the Coyote picked a pretty odd location and that they do this sometimes. They make a mistake, they're trying to avoid people, and they're trying to hide from us, and probably trying to find a new area to hide, ended up inside the store. They say it actually has happened in the past as well. So they're going to take this coyote, transfer it to the Flint Creek Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, confirm it's okay before they perhaps release it back into the wild. So January through March is when coyotes are particularly active because it's mating season. So there's usually more reported sightings of them around that time as well. They are, officials say, generally not a threat to humans, but they say don't leave food outside, don't leave food on your patio. It's just better to not do that at all. Yeah. Let's talk about sugary drinks for a second. It's not that you guys don't know this, but I think the description of what happens when you drink a soda like this is important to note. And it is my hope that the next time you're looking at a Coke or a Pepsi or a Mountain Dew or a 7 Up or whatever it is that you like to drink, that you'll think about, oh, remember Kim said this? And it might or might not make an impact on your decision, but you'll remember the knowledge because it will have been imparted to you recently. So the story is a little preachy, and I get that. Sugar sweetened beverage consumption accounts for about 2.2 million new cases of type 2 diabetes and 1.2 million new cases of heart disease worldwide a year, according to this new study published Monday in the journal Nature Medicine. And here's how it works: rapid digestion of sugary beverages leads to a spike in blood sugar levels with minimal nutrition value. So we know that eating something sugary and drinking something sugary, totally different in the way your body reacts. So if you ate a candy bar, not good, but not as bad as if you drank a sugary drink. Over time, regular intake results obviously in weight gain, insulin resistance, and other metabolic style issues related to type 2 diabetes and heart disease, which researchers say are the two leading causes of death around the world. So, understanding the health harms of sugar sweetened drinks in every country around the world and the population subgroups is critical to inform the need for targeted actions. That, according to the study's senior author at the Food is Medicine Institute at the Gerald J. and Dorothy R. Friedman School of Nutrition and Policy at Tufts University in Boston. They say the results of this study highlight the scope of a national global public health crisis. Members of the public, industry, and governments appropriately pay attention and take priority actions when a handful of citizens die from food poisoning. So the study authors say they should also be paying attention here. In low and middle income nations, people are in a worse position to fight long term health consequences. So if they knew that long-term health consequences were coming and they really didn't have the health care infrastructure to fight that down the road, perhaps they would not drink sugary drinks. I don't know. I don't know. The researchers are advocating for public health campaigns, the regulation of sugary beverage advertising, and taxes on these drinks as well. Um, in Mexico, they've implemented a tax on these beverages. It has, they say, helped decrease consumption, especially among those folks that have a lower income. So they say it's well known that sugar sweetened beverages are risk factors for obesity and insulin resistance that can ultimately lead to diabetes and cardiovascular disease. But the regulations on marketing, taxes, and warning labels are just potential steps to help the public fully understand the dangers of sugar sweetened beverages. The result of the study is the advocacy for knowledge and for governments and agencies to do something. What they say in Colombia, according to the study, more than 48% of all new diabetes cases were due to sugary drink consumption. The intake had a link to nearly 1/3 of all new diabetes cases in Mexico. The consumption was also tied to 27.6% of new diabetes cases and 14.6% of cardiovascular disease in South Africa. So, men are more likely than women to endure the consequences of consuming these beverages, younger adults as well, compared to older people. So hopefully something can be done. I know when we start legislating and taxing and telling people not to drink soda, sugary drinks, people call it nanny government. I should be able to decide for myself whether or not I'm drinking. But if we agree that regulating cigarettes, because there's such a public health risk, and now we're going to limit the amount of nicotine in them, regulating vapes as well, and what is in them and how much can be in them, then why wouldn't we regulate soda if we know that it has this much of an impact on public health? This study does give substitutions for sugary drinks. They say sparkling water that's sugar-free, unsweetened fruit juice, tea, coffee, milk, non-dairy alternatives, these type of things. That it's a preventable driver of chronic disease that significantly strains healthcare systems and affects your quality of life. So, remember those words, affects your quality of life, and we'll move on. We talk about the lotto of the day. This happened over the holidays, and this lady, she got a lottery ticket in a white elephant gift exchange. She ends up with this Michigan lottery scratch off ticket. Her family every Christmas has this white elephant gift exchange. She is from Indiana, but the ticket was purchased in Michigan. So she gets this Detroit Lions ticket after the family gift exchange on Christmas, which also happens to be her birthday. She said, "My cousin purchased the ticket for the White Elephant Exchange at the family Christmas party." She said, "My dad actually won the ticket in the gift exchange, and I won the gift he brought, a flashlight. He wanted his gift back, so we made an agreement after the game to trade gifts." She scratched off the ticket on Christmas, which she said also happens to be her birthday, and she won thought $50,000. And so she downloaded the Michigan Lottery app and created an account to check the ticket on the app scanner. She said she was expecting to see $50,000, and when she saw the extra zero, $500,000, she said she was speechless. She is going to use her winnings to buy a new car, to invest, and she will share it with her family, including her dad and the cousin that bought the ticket. And well done, because that is how you do it. And I'm telling you, don't give a lottery ticket away unless you have to expect that someone is going to win it on it. Because what a bummer if you give away the winning ticket. But now the family shares it. Her name is Emily. She's 25 years old and just won $500,000 on Christmas. That is a very Merry Christmas and a very happy birthday for her. Absolutely. They found something in Montana, and it is this fossilized forest. I think they expected to see this, kind of a surprise. It happened because of the tundra there being thawed out. They've got warming temperatures in Montana. And so this area is reemerging 600 feet higher than the present day tree line. It had spent the last 5,500 years encased in alpine tundra. But temperatures are warming, and researchers say the ecological evidence is hinting on what might actually return to this region. So, this is Montana's Beartooth Plateau in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem of the Rocky Mountains. And again, it has been covered in frozen tundra for thousands of years, 5,500 years. But during the mid Holocene epoch, Warm season temperatures more resembled those of the mid to late 20th century, which allowed forests in the area to reach mountainside elevations as high as about 10,000 feet above sea levels. The region's largely populated by white bark pine trees, which is a series of conifer that ranges between 16 and 22 feet tall. But about 5,500 years ago in this area, there was some increased volcanic activity, and it covered the atmosphere in particulates and it blocked sunlight and it caused the climate to cool really fast. And so the forests receded toward warmer weather. The alpine tundra took its place across the Beartooth Plateau, and it's an area that has a lack of trees because of the colder temperature and the shorter growing season. Three main classifications of tundra: we have the Arctic, the Antarctic, and the Alpine. And the Alpine is distinct for its mountainous altitudes. This icy tundra doesn't really shift location over time, and that is what allows for the layered preservation of fossils, pollen, and charcoal. And now those layers are accessible to researchers for the very first time, thanks to human induced climate change. The findings published in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences hint at what the Beartooth Plateau and areas very similar to it might look like once again in the future. They say most of the best long term climate records come from Greenland and Antarctica. This, according to Montana State University Department of Earth Sciences Associate Professor David McWethy. He said it's not a small thing to find ice patches that persisted for that long of a period of time at lower altitudes in the interior continent. So he and his team of researchers went to the Beartooth Plateau multiple times, starting in 2016, to gather ice core samples, analyzing cross sections of newly exposed fossilized wood for radiocarbon dating. And they say the findings indicate the plateau's tree line migrated higher over a period of about 500 years when the conditions were right. He calls it a dramatic piece of evidence of ecosystem change due to temperature warming. He said it's an amazing story of how dynamic these systems are. And the researchers are thinking that these re exposed pine fossils could serve as a precursor to the return of higher elevation forests. They think while the study is localized, their implications extend elsewhere around the world. So that was interesting. Look what the world is showing us one more time. There is some type of phenomenon when someone wins a Nobel Prize, and it's called Nobelitis. Have you ever heard of it? Because I hadn't before. Apparently, according to IFL Science, it's kind of an imposter syndrome, this feeling that you are an incompetent or a fraud while everyone else around you is there on their own merit. The Nobel Prize winners have not responded quite like that in the manner of recognizing their own achievements. So there's this term called Nobel disease, or sometimes they call it Nobelitis. And it describes this very unscientific, by the way, thing that Nobel Prize winners have gone on to develop after their win. And according to this book, um, Critical Thinking in Psychology, the researchers have listed a number of these types of cases. Here's what happens. So, these Nobel Prize winners who have expressed pseudo-scientific beliefs after their win, usually straying away from their field of expertise. So these include scientists noted in their own field who went on to develop interests in psychic research, extrasensory perception. One winner believed he'd been visited by a talking, motorcycling, glowing green raccoon. So they kind of get a little cray cray after they win. Sometimes, in some things, some cases. So, in critical thinking and psychology, the researchers list a number of such cases. Some developed mundane, grim, pseudoscientific beliefs. They reference James Watson's widely debunked beliefs regarding race and intelligence. Many develop much more fun versions of Nobel disease. Pierre Curie, for instance, won the Nobel Prize in Physics for the discovery of radium and polonium before going on to participate in seances and believing that investigating the paranormal could help us answer questions about magnetism. Joseph Thomson won the prize for his discovery of the electron, developed similar interest in psychic phenomena, was a member of the Society for Psychical Research for 34 years. Charles Richet, who won the prize in physiology or medicine in 1913, is also responsible for the word ectoplasm, which he believed could be expelled from mediums during seances. Uh, Weird. So, what is it about Nobelitis? Why did these really noted scientists who are experts in their field, who have done this fact based scientific research, go on to develop these nutty theories later on? This is the one. It's crazy. Carrie Mullis, who won a share of the 1993 Nobel Prize in Chemistry, and after winning that, started expressing skepticism about climate change, the role of HIV and AIDS, the belief in the heavily debunked idea of astrology. He said he saw a glowing raccoon that talked to him. Here's the quote: I encountered a glowing green raccoon riding a neon orange motorcycle at my cabin in the woods of Northern California. It was midnight one night in 1985. The raccoon proceeded to metamorphose into a singing dolphin at the stroke of midnight. So why does so many Nobel Prize winners end up with these pseudoscientific beliefs? According to one winner, it could partly be to do with external pressure from the media and other groups urging prize winners to step outside of their own area of expertise. And Paul Nurse, who was one Nobel Prize winner, said, in the eyes of many people, I had suddenly become a world leading expert on almost everything. This was rather a shock. It's not that I am an overly modest person, and I do know something about biology and science more generally, but an expert on everything? Assuredly, he said, I am not. You will be inundated with requests to comment on a wide range of issues, to sign letters and petitions, and to generally lend your name to causes, some noble, others less so. But do not be tempted, he said, to stray too far from your specialist knowledge or from science more generally. It's interesting. I tend to think this, and this has nothing to do with the study, and it's just my own opinion. But I think that sometimes people who are geniuses, who are brilliant, they can also be a little bit wacky, like the crazy scientist. There's something to it. It's a stereotype for a reason. So maybe it has to do with that. I am going to the chat to see what you guys are talking about. Uh, let's see what you have to say. Oh, you're talking about sugary drinks. Oh, I know. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Maybe the Nobel Award has LSD in it. Could be the mushroom, says teacher Lori. RFK Jr. must have won a Nobel at some point, says Jim. Come on. Nullifidian says, I like what she's having. I'd like to have some of those drugs, he said. Yeah, I'm telling you. It's a little bit crazy. All right. We'll move on to oh, you know what? I want to make sure we have time to visit our waterfalls because I did prepare some waterfalls for you. So here's one of them. This is the very beautiful waterfall near Carmel. It's McWay Waterfall. And because we took a trip to Carmel yesterday, it's the first thing I was looking up is Carmel. This is McWay Falls. Actually, it's in Big Sur, close to Carmel, though. It's an 80-foot cascade that makes the perfect picture postcard. McWay Falls, they call a must-see year-round ribbon of water along the famous Pacific Coast Highway. It is part of Julia Pfeiffer Burns State Park in Big Sur. It is one of only two named waterfalls in California that are also tide falls. This is McWay Falls. It either falls directly into the Pacific Ocean or onto a pristine little cove, depending on the tide. Beautiful sight, one of the most photographed landmarks in California. So it's interesting. It flows year round, unlike other famous waterfalls in California. And it flows into this beautiful area, the turquoise waters of this cove and the blue ocean beyond, magical. Until 1983, McWay Falls used to flow straight into the Pacific Ocean. But there was a season of record rain, mud flows, and landslides, including a major mudslide just north of this waterfall. Highway 1 was damaged. Repairs on the region resulted in a lot of landslide debris being deposited into the ocean. So the ocean then created the beach, which you see there today, by washing up some of that debris on an area just below McWay Falls, pounding it into the sand. And today, this pristine white cove is an integral part of the perfection of the way McWay Falls at low tide functions. When the tide is in, McWay Falls still tumbles headlong right into the Pacific Ocean. There's another picture of it. Sure is pretty. Look at the trees growing out of the rocky cliffs. That's McWay Falls in Carmel. Here's Christine Falls. Christine Falls is near Seattle. I thought this was a relaxing picture. Doesn't that make your blood pressure drop and your shoulders drop for a second? It's 108 miles driving distance from Seattle. Takes about 2.5 hours to get there from Seattle. Christine Falls is easy to get to. It's a 2-mile hike that even inexperienced hikers can easily take in. These tiered plunges from this stone bridge. There's a spectacle of Christine Falls' 69-foot drop. With the way that it's framed under that bridge, it sure is pretty. I can imagine the roar of that waterfall as you're standing on the bridge looking over. Super beautiful. Again, that is Mount Rainier is in this area. This is Christine Falls near Seattle. And here's another one I found near Seattle as well. Look at that. This is beautiful. This one is called, I don't know if I'm going to say it right. It's Tenerife Falls. It's hard to get to this one. It's a 5.5-mile adventure for more experienced or avid hikers. So it's a little strenuous to get here. But once you do, we get some sweet views. Luckily for us, we're able to go there virtually together. We don't have to take that strenuous hike. But there are second and third growth forests along the way as you head to the first lookout spot. The second and higher viewpoint is worth a stop as well. Large groups should find a larger, more stable areas to take in the sights. They say spring visits are recommended to avoid the snow, and you can see the waterfall coming down with snow on either side. And I picked this one today because I thought it's January, it's a little wintry, it's a very good opposite of the fires in Southern California. So I thought maybe we needed some waterfall rushing surrounded by snow. There we go. That's Tenerife Falls near Seattle. It's only 50 minutes from Seattle, this drive. So that is, I forgot to show my little slide. That is Waterfall Wednesday. There you go. Okay. What else do I have for you? Oh, I have stories galore. Yes, I do. So let's jump into this one. Ooh, look at these coins. These coins were found in Luxembourg, and they are Roman coins that were uncovered at this site. They've known about the site for a really long time, but the coins they found here are really rare. They're 1,700 years old, and they depict 8 different emperors. It's almost as if someone were collecting emperor coins. One of the emperors tried to bring paganism back, so that's exciting. But this team of archaeologists discovered this hoard of 141 Roman gold coins dating back to around the 4th century CE. They found them in northern Luxembourg. The coins were struck during the reign of 9 different emperors who ruled between 364 and 408 CE. 3 of the coins feature an unexpected ruler, Eugenius, who ruled the Western Roman Empire from 392 to 394 CE, so only 2 years. He came to power partially due to the support of a general who had invaded the Western Roman Empire during the 5th century. When Christianity was becoming dominant in the Roman Empire, Eugenius attempted to restore pagan practices and traditions. And when he reigned, there was conflict and instability, and he was defeated by Theodosius I during the Battle of Frigidus in 394. Eugenius was then executed, and Christian authority in the empire began to consolidate. So that's significant in history, right? And then we have, there he is. This is the Eugenius coin. How often do you find one of those laying around? I don't know. Not very often. Fascinating that these things are still around. The ruins are in Luxembourg. It was an old Roman fort in the village of Holzthum, and that is where these gold coins were found. The excavations went on from 2020 to 2024, and they kept the find of these gold coins secret for about 4 years. There were World War II era explosives and munitions buried nearby as well. So they had to be really careful. The Luxembourg Army Mine Action Service had to come out and help with the dig because of the explosives. These coins are said to be in excellent conditions. They have an estimated value of about $322,000. I would have thought more. First of all, they're gold. Second of all, they're 1,700 years old. Third, look at they span all of these emperors. Come on, $322,000. We've seen more for a Lego, right? That seems ridiculous. I hope they go for more than that. In accordance with the legal provisions on cultural heritage in Luxembourg, this money would be reserved for those who have legal rights, like property holders, over this find. In addition to the golden coins, the excavation also uncovered the remains of a small fortified observational tower. The watchtowers commonly built along the Roman Empire's Germanic borders during the 4th century. There were also several graves surrounding it as well. So now that the excavation is complete, the data is currently being analyzed, and they would like to be publishing that in a scientific journal that would come out at a later date. And I'm sure that we will cover it when it does. Can we talk about this ice maze for a moment? Because this is pretty cool. This is in, of course, Minnesota. They have the Minnesota Ice Festival, which is fun, and they create this ice maze. And before the festival even opened, they had it certified as the world's largest ice maze by Guinness World Records. It is 18,148.88 square feet, 8-foot high walls, multiple twists and turns. Took the record away from an ice maze in Buffalo, New York that was only a measly 1,300 square feet in 2010. The festival organizer of Minnesota Ice said the construction of this maze at Tico Stadium in Eagan, Minnesota, started December 1st, and gravel and plywood had to be spread out across the field to protect the turf. Then it was constructed from 3,452 blocks of ice, each of them weighed 425 pounds. They finished it on January 4th, and then they put in a bunch of ice sculptures. And the festival is running through February 16th, depending on weather conditions here. I mean, if it gets really sunny in Minnesota, the ice is going to melt. So if you're going to Minnesota and you're going to be anywhere near Egan, got to go check out this ice maze, the largest ice maze ever in the world. And again, they have really cool statues in there. There was video I saw earlier. They have an ice hockey table made of ice where people were in there playing ice hockey. It just looks fun. If you're in Minnesota, this seems like something fun to do. The Minnesota Ice Festival and the world's largest ice maze. I say yes to that. Okay. I think that we can wrap it up. Again, thank you so much for being here, for being part of this show, and for being part of the Mark Thompson Show. Tomorrow is Thursday, and it's a big day. On the Mark Thompson Show, we will have the wonderful and amazing former federal prosecutor, now defense attorney, and that is David Katz on the show, along with Michael Schur, which is really fun when he guest hosts. I always have a really good time. Trivia Thursday, and while we won't have Heather along for the ride, we're still going to have a really good time. Hopefully, Teacher Lori will be here. And Uncle Jim will be here. All of you. I'm very much looking forward to it. Pardon me, lost my voice for a minute. And then the Nikki Maduro show happens at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Cocktails, mocktails, and politics. Last time I had a kamikaze and my husband put it in a bigger glass. And usually I don't drink it all, but I did. And I was a little tipsy last week. So this week I'm having a virgin drink. I can't be doing that every week. No, that's not going to work out. I hope you have a really good rest of your day. If you're going to be at AP Honors Night at Petaluma High, I'll see you there. Otherwise, I'll meet you here on YouTube tomorrow. I hope you have a really good rest of your day. Make it a good one. All right? Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Where's the video? Here it is. Bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.